Tell me,
I hear you.
is it you?
Is it you? Hey, I hear you.
What I want to bring to the forefront is that the age of the Gentiles has been fulfilled. So with that in mind, what does that mean? What does it really mean? And I'm taking a lot of this information that I found on this website, and I happen to agree with, a lot of what they say. So I just want to promote it. You go there, look at it all in detail, just the page. I don't know about anything else about the ministry or anything. Just go there and check it out, and you'll be able to start to go on a little bunny trail of discovery. But it bears in my spirit, and it makes sense. So I want to read some stuff from the website. It says, yes, God has promised many times in the Bible that one day his face would be turned back to his chosen people, Israel. And Luke 21:24 states about Israel, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Now, this is speaking of the hard times Israel will come across until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled, and God turns his face back to them. So, in Romans, starting with 11:25, for I do not want you, brethren, to be uninformed of this mystery, so that you will not be wise in your own estimation, that a partial hardening has happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles has come in. And so all Israel will be saved, just as it is written, the deliverer will come from Zion, he will remove ungodliness from Jacob. This is my covenant with them when I take away their sins. From the standpoint of the gospel, they are enemies for your sake, but from the standpoint of God's choice, they are beloved for the sake of the fathers. For the gifts and the calling of God are irrevocable. All of his word is coming true. So, he leaves us enough clues that we can figure out what the times are, if we will. Again, reading from the site. Again, this is a warning to Gentiles that God will turn his face back to Israel when the time of the Gentiles are fulfilled. Hebrews 8:8-12 states about Israel. For finding fault with them, he said, behold, the days come when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, says the Lord. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, says the Lord. I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts, and I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people. And they shall not teach every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, know the Lord. For all shall know me, from the least to the greatest. For I will be merciful to their unrighteousness, and their sins, and their iniquities I will remember no more. Reading back at the side again. Again, God has said he will turn back to Israel. There's another component to the scriptures. In Luke 21:24 it states, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So, I'm trying to, with the help of this site, you can kind of get all the loose ends here. And how do we know that A and B and C and D, the Gentiles being fulfilled? Well, we'll keep going here. Romans 11:25 states, blindness in part is happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles come in. So, these scriptures make it clear that the days of the Gentile are not continuous and have an appointed end. Another point is that both of these scriptures mention occurrences that will happen at the end of the Gentile period. So, number one, Jerusalem shall no longer be trodden down of the Gentiles. Look at today. Is it? Ask yourself. If I'm talking to people who are used to arguing, take a look around. Is it? Number two, partial blindness will no longer happen to Israel. course, that part, you know, that's a God thing. I don't know that we can really, you know, we know that we're going to cause the Jews, you know, out of jealousy by what we have. And that's another part of this, is what is going to make that happen, and that's by signs and wonders. So I'm jumping ahead of myself a little bit, but let's keep going down this path. So according to these scriptures, there will be an end to God's grace toward the Gentiles. Don't take that, you know, that was written on the site. You can take it what you want, you know. It's not like, God's just going to damn all the Gentiles now. No, just understand what's being said in a larger picture. So when this end comes, Jerusalem shall again be in the hands of the Jews, and at that time Israel will no longer be blind. If you consider yourself to be a Gentile, the biggest question in your mind is probably, when will the Gentile time be fulfilled? The answer is in the 8th chapter of the book of Daniel. Within this chapter, Daniel describes a vision. I am not going to read all through Daniel 8. You go ahead and do it. This chapter is very important. It is very mysterious, and Daniel's associates couldn't understand it even though Gabriel had explained it to Daniel. Gabriel explained to Daniel that this vision concerned the end time, expressly Daniel 8:19, and that it was about a battle between the Grecian king and the Medo-Persian king. It is not until now, in the end time, we can get an idea of the message from this vision. Such a battle was fought between King Darius III and Alexander the Great at Issus in what was then Syria, in the Roman year of 333 BC. You may ask yourself, why is this battle so important? Why would this be in the Bible? After all, many kings fought with one another in those times. But this one was important because it gives a starting date for the 2,300 days of Daniel's vision, which Daniel 8:13 and 14 verses. In the book of Daniel, days are used as a symbol of years. So, I mean, I think everybody's kind of figured that out. So the days are actually 2,300 years. And what will happen for those years? Daniel 8:13 says that both the sanctuary and the host were to be trodden underfoot. These same words echo back in Luke 21:24 that again states, and again Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. This tells us that Daniel's vision was concerning the length of time of grace toward the Gentiles. So, we have a starting point now. We have a starting date, 333 BC. It's a length of time, 2,300 years. And an action to happen at the end of that time is Jerusalem being retaken by Israel and the time of the Gentiles closing. So, to get the date of this occurrence, we simply have to have the beginning time from the ending time, which is 2300 AD minus 333 BC. And what's the date you get? 1967. According to Jews who call themselves Israel, reclaimed the city of Jerusalem in 1967 in the Six-Day War there. And to this day, they rule over it. So, if this is true, then the Gentile times were fulfilled. With that in mind, what does that mean? What does it really mean? If in Hebrews 8:11 it says, and they shall not teach every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know the Lord, for all shall know me, from the least to the greatest, then maybe it's not about talk anymore. If we're to provoke the Jews to jealousy, how is that to happen? Is it maybe by conforming into the image of Christ and doing greater works than these?